Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Frank Turner. Frank, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. I'm feeling quite kind of overworked might be the word. I'm doing a lot of it's album release week and I'm very busy. But it's better to be busy now than to not be busy now. So very happy to talk to you too. Thanks for having me.
Well, so we have spoken before, and I'm sure you wouldn't remember this because obviously you do many, many, many interviews. But we last time we spoke was around about 10 years ago.
Good
And
Lord.
it was for the release, I believe it was for the release of your single, The Way I Tend to Be. Uh,
That sounds about right timing wise, yeah.
Now, I haven't been ignoring you for 10 years. I was off the radio for 9 of them. Okay.
Right, that is an acceptable excuse.
But yes, yeah, left to do the marriage and the kids and all of that kind of thing. And now that that's all settled down, we come back and we carry on. So I haven't been ignoring you. It's not personal.
Well,
I do promise.
thank you, and congratulations on the marriage and the kids.
They are still there. So yeah, we
Okay, good.
it would have
Yeah,
been it
excellent.
would have been an interesting congratulations if the reason I was back is because they were all gone.
Yes, indeed.
Right. So the reason that we are here talking, of course, as well as the fact that you are just a generally a lovely person, is you are doing something interesting and rather stupid
I
this
was going to say
weekend.
silly might be the word that you're
Yeah,
scrapping for there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you are attempting a world record this weekend
Yes.
to play 15 gigs in 24 hours. Uh,
Yes. In
it,
15 different towns as well.
in 15 different towns. Yeah. So I'm sure that when you kind of thought about this, I'm sure that you was like, this will be really good. This will be a great way to promote the album. It'll be loads of fun. And then the ball started rolling, and it was like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, that is, well, I mean, the thing is, it's generous of you to imagine that I did much thinking about it when I came up with the idea. It was my idea, and my crew are reminding me of this furiously because they know that at about 4 a.m. I'm going to start casting around for somebody to blame for what's happening to me. And they're like, no, no, this was your idea. Um, I will say, I mean, quite honestly, it is a good way of promoting the record. There is a community angle to it. Every venue that we're playing is a music venue trust approved, independent, underground, grassroots music venue, and every show is being promoted by a local independent record store. So for Portsmouth, we have staggeringly good brewery and my old friends at Pie and Vinyl
Yeah, yeah.
Records taking care of it. So that's all great. It is also obviously promoting the album. Basically, I didn't really think that hard about the mechanics of it until the last couple of days when I've started doing interviews and everybody says, "What on earth are you doing? How are you going to survive?" And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, oh this is a terrible idea. What have I done?" But it's too late now. So maybe I'll see you on the other side. Maybe I won't.
Well, the one thing that I do love about this is the fact of you've thought about, because I read something elsewhere, the fact that you kind of done something similar before, and you started at 7 p.m. and it's
Yes.
really, really hard. So you have thought
Yeah.
about it a little bit, and you're starting at just after midday in Liverpool.
Yes. And
And obviously,
finishing
yeah, and
in
then
down south in Hampshire. Yeah.
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 So you're working your way through, and so for a good, I would say for a good three-quarters of this, it should be okay. Now,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and I can see 2 a.m. at Leighton Buzzard. I think that's going to be the tail end of being okay.
You know,
Uh,
you're right. When,
4
so
a.m.
when we, yeah,
4
well,
a.m.
so
in
when we
London is going to be your real tough one.
yeah. Well, this is it. So when we were planning it, me and my team referred to the 4 a.m. show as the ditch,
Yes.
right? Because 2 a.m. you've been out for a night out, maybe you stay out for another hour or two, and then
Yeah.
you're at a gig and happy days, and then you go home.
Yep.
6 a.m. you get up early. It's a breakfast
Yep.
show, not a
Yep.
problem. 4 a.m.
That's the
is
tough
a
one.
stretch. And so we're doing the 4 a.m. show in London. And I mean, I shouldn't say this on the radio, but basically, I'm like, each show is half an hour. I wouldn't go to a show at 4 a.m. for half an hour. Like,
Well,
you crazy?
I think I
But
think
we sold like 500 tickets for that show. So,
I was just about to say the entire world record tour is sold out. And the fact that you are in London, which is obviously a huge demographic, you have so many fans in London. I think
sure.
you literally could have been playing at any hour and you would have sold it out and people would have come to see you. So 4 a.m. in
I'm,
London.
I'm very. I'm very grateful. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it seems wild to me, and I suspect that the thing that will enable me to survive the process is going to be the crowds. You know, and if people are there and people are enthusiastic, that's going to be all right. I will be drinking an awful lot of coffee.
Well, it's funny. So, I put a post up on my Instagram this morning to say that you were going to be on the show today, and a friend of mine messaged me immediately saying, "Oh my God, I love Frank Turner. He's absolutely brilliant. Got all of his albums, etc., etc." I was like, "Are you going to the show?" And he's a little bit younger than me. I'm 42, same as you. He's a little bit younger. I think he's about mid to late 30s. And I said, "Are you going to the show on Sunday morning in Portsmouth?" And he said, "Yes, nine. Is it 9:30 and 9 a.m.?"
I, yeah,
And
something like that.
I said, he said, "Yes, I've got my tickets." He said, "Although it's going to feel weird to go to a gig at 9 a.m." I said, "Well, look, mate, to be fair, at your age, 9 a.m. is probably a good time to have a gig, actually."
Yeah, I mean, you get it out of the way. Do you know what I mean? It's Sunday morning. You can go and carry on with the rest of your day. I mean, I'm very happy that we're finishing with three shows in Hampshire because it's where I'm
Yeah.
from originally, and we're finishing with Portsmouth, Winchester, and Southampton. So that will be nice. I think my mum's coming to the Winchester show, so happy days.
Ah,
Yeah, I suspect that it's the bit at the end of the last show that's going to be the worst bit. Do you know what I mean? But
well, I think
again,
once you
my
get to
fault.
Hampshire, I think you'll be running on adrenaline. So
Yes, I
I think
suspect
that
that's
will
true.
possibly be okay. And of course, the big question is when you do complete this, because I have absolutely every faith in you that you will complete it. Then you start to plan for your proper UK tour, which is
Yes.
going on sale in April. Is that correct?
Well, actually, so the first round of UK touring that we've done, I'm sort of staggered to announce has already sold out. So happy days. And what we did after that is in February next year. So I count my shows. I've done it since day one. I've got a number for each show, and in February next year, I'm going to be playing my 3,000th show at Alexandra Palace, which is wild. I will hopefully get some sleep in between now and then, um, but it's going to be a big show. And then, of course, lots of people are asking me about this. Once we got that one out of the way, we'll do another big UK tour, and we'll come to lots of other places that I haven't hit on this album cycle yet.
Well, I was going to ask you about this. It astounds me that you know that this is going to be your 3,000th gig. Like, who do you count? Does somebody else count? How did that
I,
come about?
So it started. Well, I used to be in a punk band called Million Dead, and our drummer counted our shows. And at the time, I thought he was a bit weird for doing that. And then when the band broke up in 2005, I was really pleased that he had, because even at the time, I couldn't remember the details of where we'd been and what we'd done. And that was 20, 25 years ago now. So I started at the beginning. And the other thing is, for the first 3 years maybe of my solo career, it was just me. I used to tour on the train with a guitar. I didn't have a tour manager. I didn't have a band. So there's nobody I can call and say, well, yeah, what do we do in spring 2006? I mean, there's people from individual shows, of course, but so I kept this list. It's on my website if anybody wants to have a look, because
Oh,
there are people
wow. Okay.
who don't believe me, is the other thing. Do you know what I mean? And they're just like, no. So the list is there if people want to have a look and check that I'm not lying. But yeah, so I mean, obviously, when I got to show 1,000, I booked the show myself. It was in London, and my friends were like, 1,000 what? And I said, 1,000 shows. And they sort of said, how do you know? Like, what? How's that the thing? Show 2000 was in Nottingham, was a big party. So this time around, lots of people are paying attention. There are people who have like show numbers tattooed on them and stuff like this.
Wow.
I've got two of them tattooed on me
That's
myself. Um,
amazing.
so yeah, so it's going to be, I mean, ultimately in some levels, it's just a number rolling over and who cares and all of that stuff. But it's a good excuse for a party. So we're going to have a big party.
Do you know what I would suggest to you? And you don't have to do this, of course, but my suggestion would be your 3,000th gig is absolutely huge. Have you got 3,001 lined up or not?
Not yet, but you know what? It's funny that you should mention that, because one of the show numbers that I have tattooed is show number 1,001, because it
Right.
struck me that that was a cooler thing to commemorate than show
Yeah.
3,000.
So
Oh,
what
sorry,
I was going to
1,000.
suggest is obviously your 3,000th gig is absolutely huge at the Ali Pali. Um, why not go the complete opposite route for 3,001? And I've seen it where people play at house parties or in somebody's garden or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Actually go
sure.
the complete opposite direction and say, well, our 3,000 gig is going to be so huge, let's strip it right back and do something exclusive for maybe on your fan page or something like that, and give away your 3,001th gig in somebody's house.
It's a good idea. I mean, the other one for me, the obvious choice for me would be the Joiners Arms in Southampton. I love that place.
Yeah.
I've played there probably roughly 20% of my shows were at the Joiners Arms at this point. I'm
Every other week.
exaggerating, but not that much. But it's a nice idea. I mean, the one thing I will say is that as compared to when I did my 1000 show, I'm now a little more settled down. I'm a married man. I've got a cat. I've got a
Oh,
house.
wow.
My wife has basically said to me, "You are taking some time off after 3000, because between now and then I'm quite busy."
Well, there you go. So 3001 for the wife and the cats.
There we go. Maybe, yeah.
Live
I'm not
stream it or
sure.
something. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure she wants me to come home from tour and play her a show. That might be a bit
You know
much.
these songs that you've heard loads, love. Do you fancy
Yeah,
hearing them
right.
again?
Yeah, and just you.
So obviously, like you say, your tour is sold out at the moment. The world record attempt is sold out, but you are playing at festivals all over the summer. Glastonbury's obviously the big one, Dockfest, Latitude, etc. So if you can't get tickets for one of Frank's smaller shows, then he is going to be doing all the big festivals as well. So you can go and catch him at any of those. I read a really, really interesting quote from you, which I loved because it put me so in this place. It's unreal. I read a quote from you that said, "I'm 42 and it's not a sexy rock and roll age." And as a 42-year-old myself, I was talking
Yeah.
to somebody this morning and they said something along the lines of, "I love listening to you on radio. You should be on TV." And I said, "Well, maybe if I lost 10 years and a stone, I might be somewhere around there."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, it's true, and in the context of rock and roll, there's a paradigm of the kind of Neil Young or whatever, who's kind of an older
Yeah.
guy who's got grey hair and is quite sort of cool and grizzled and old, and then there's the young punks and
Yeah.
all that kind of thing, and there's this bit in the middle, and that's kind of where I'm standing. And in many ways, that's what my new record is about trying to figure out how to do that with dignity, and present yourself and have something to say at this point in life. But I'm giving it my best shot.
Well, is that what Undefeated, your new album, is that what it's kind of be about? Because as you've just said, a married man with cats, in sort of his 40s, is not exactly the type of things that you want to write about on a record, is it? Because let's face it,
Well,
the married life that we all lead is a little bit dull and day-to-day kind of stuff. So,
it can be, and
what do
I've
you
got
write
into
about
that.
that people want to hear about?
Well, I mean, that's the age-old question at every moment, I would say. But yeah, you're right. And I've got into gardening in recent years. I'm not very good at it, but like, it's not. It's also not very punk. But like, I think that one of the things that I do try and do is write sort of honestly, and I tend to write autobiographically and all the rest of it. And I've always loved kind of writers like Leonard Cohen or Loudon Wainwright, who did write honestly about every phase of their life. And a lot of rock and roll is sort of predicated on this, writing about being sort of 19. Do you know what I mean? And sort of first kisses on the dance floor at 2 a.m. or whatever else it might be. And those days are behind me, let me tell you. So finding that way through that can be a challenge, and that is basically one of the things that the new record is about. It's also about the fact that this is my 10th album and I'm 42 and I'm still doing this, and that is comparatively unusual in my trade, and
Yeah, yeah.
to the very limited extent that anyone cares, I'm sort of proud of that.
No, and you should be, because like you say, many, many people burn brightly and fade away very quickly. And, if you are still here after all these years with your 10th album, still selling out tours, still doing all these things, you're clearly doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, you know this as well as I do. You get older and everything hurts more, but the consolation prize is that you have a slightly better sense of who you are and a bit more confidence. And the fact of being 26 years into my touring career and 10 albums in and all this stuff, it gives you a sort of weight, almost, I want to say. I mean, so there's another type of weight that we've talked about too, but it gives you become sort of inarguable at a certain point. Not everybody loves what I do, and that's fine, but you can't sort of say it's completely meritless, otherwise I wouldn't still be doing this.
Exactly. Well, look, Frank, thank you very much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. I want to wish
My
you
pleasure, Paul.
nothing but luck with not only obviously your world record attempt here in Portsmouth and all over the rest of the UK as well. I know that you're going to smash it. So I want to say congratulations early doors because I know that you will get through it. And certainly when you get into those last few shows in Hampshire, I know that the home crowd is going to cheer you on. But best of luck with your album that is also out on Friday.
Yes, that's
Yes,
correct. Yeah, Friday.
Friday.
And
Uh,
thank
so
you very much.
so best of luck with that one. Again, I know that is going to be really, really great. So thank you very much for joining me. And we are about to play your new single, Letters. So if you want to introduce it.
I would love to, and thank you so much for having me today. I'm Frank Turner. This is from my 10th album, which is out on Friday. This song is called Letters.